Oklahoma is going to beat Texas with or without John Mateer.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
A crossover edition of Locked On the Portal with Locked On Sooners. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making both Locked On Sooners and Locked On the Portal a part of your day, each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We're going to be talking about Oklahoma recruiting, some portal needs after this season, but most importantly, the two prime subjects that Oklahoma fans want to talk about is John Mateer playing, and are we going to beat Texas? To help me figure that out, I've got two guys that happen to have a little bit of an interest in that game, just slightly, just slightly. Mr. John Williams and Mr. Jay Smith. Look, guys, you guys are part of the brand here at Locked On, covering the Sooners, and I'm just going to throw it out there. I've already made the pick that OU is going to win, even if Hawkins is the quarterback. I think he's serviceable, and the defense is legit. But are you guys confident in Hawkins? Yay or nay? You can't play the middle ground. I'm looking right at you, Jay. You can't play the middle. Are you confident in Hawkins as a third down passer?
I am confident enough. Let's just say that.
Okay.
I feel like he's good enough to lead this team, to manage the game, and help Oklahoma get a win if he has to play against Texas. Yes, Texas is a legit defense as well. If he doesn't hurt you, Oklahoma can go win the game because they've got enough skill players on the outside, and he's dangerous enough as a thrower and a passer that if you kind of take him lightly or you give him an opportunity, he can hurt you with his legs, and he does have a big arm that can get the ball down the field.
What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly, I think that Michael Hawkins will be fine. I'll put it this way. He was serviceable last year with no wide receivers and a bad offensive line. I mean, you go all the way into the second quarter, lead up 3-0 because your defense was doing what they were supposed to do. And, I mean, you missed a field goal after an interception, which was terrible. If you would have made that, you'd been up 6-0 to end the first quarter. So he was serviceable enough, but he needed more. Like, he needed more help on his side of the ball. And I think that he has matured enough to where this is his second season. Well, it's only 9 months in this system, but it's his second season. He has a real quarterback coach. He has a real OC who's very strong when it comes to being creative. I think he'll do enough to be able to move the ball, just enough to be able to keep Oklahoma at least moving and keep the defense off the field for too much.
That's fair. That's kind of where I'm at too. When I watched him last year, I was at the Auburn game. I mean, you could tell he wasn't comfortable with the receivers. And I don't blame him considering that circumstance. But he did throw a money ball that changed the game. Yep. And he was such an like you could tell if you said tomorrow you have to play receiver for a one game or whatever, not that that's going to happen. He's athletic enough to go do that.
Yep.
So he's a dude athletically, like he could have played free safety or something at the Power 4 level. I have no doubt. So Texas got a good defense, but they're always on the field. And that's where I'm going to transition right now. Do you feel, I know you guys don't like Texas, obviously, but do you feel Arch is at least getting better? Like he made a couple of really good throws against Florida, but they have no running game. So this game might be on his right arm because they had their running backs in the last game. This is one of the worst stats in Texas history. 11 carries for the running backs, 15 yards.
Yeah, I think Arch is in a similar situation as to Oklahoma last year where, the offensive line wasn't performing up to the standard. You're not getting enough big plays out of your wide receivers. Now they're healthier than what Oklahoma was last year. It's just the things around him aren't great. When I see Arch play, what I see is a guy that's making something out of nothing a lot of times. But when the easy things are there for him, it's not always clean either. So I'm not exactly sure what to make of Arch yet. I think he's an improving player, and I still think he's got the chance to be a really good quarterback. It's just not getting enough help from his offensive line. And when you're under duress, as you know, as many of our listeners know, if you're a quarterback that's under duress, it doesn't matter how good you are, you can get beat. Tom Brady got beat in 2 Super Bowls by the New York Giants because he was under duress constantly. So if you can put a good quarterback under duress, it's not going to matter if you've got a Ryan Wingo on the outside, if you've got a Jack Andrews to catch passes over the middle at tight end. I mean, you've got to protect your quarterback. And if Arch's not protected, he could look uncomfortable and make some uncomfortable throws.
Number 15 in Kansas City would go along with those sentiments, by the way.
Yes.
He's not looked so good in 2 Super Bowls. I wonder why. He was on his back the whole game. So.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the biggest struggle that Texas offensive line, and I guess Texas fans didn't want to admit this, and they're now starting to admit it, that when you lost 4 dudes to the NFL on the offensive line and you didn't have a whole bunch of starts across the line together, that chemistry struggles. And I guess the biggest thing, too, is you didn't realize how bad that left guard spot is. I think they've had 2 dudes that's had to play in there, and they're just getting abused. And Florida, to their credit, got to the house on a regular basis to make things harder for Arch Manning. So he may have PTSD going into this game, specifically because Oklahoma has a really good defensive line this year. Like, the big stat to me that jumped out is third down conversions. Oklahoma's number 1 in the country on defensive side of the ball in third down conversions. Texas is like 116th. So they struggle on that. And there's a few other stats that I've looked at as far as the advanced numbers. Success rate, Oklahoma's up here on the defense at the top. They're stopping you. Texas is down here in being able to be successful. That's going to show in this game. The biggest question is no Wisner, who hurt his hamstring again. CJ Baxter, we think, is still banged up, if I'm correct. Like, how are you going to – we know it's going to have to be Arch Manning literally willing them to it. Is he capable? And I'm going to be honest, I don't think he's ready yet.
I don't think he is either. And that's probably not fair to him, but you're the quarterback at Texas and your last name is Manning.
Yeah, you're
not good combinations for him.
Whether it's fair or unfair, this is the reality of the situation that he's in. And he has to go play a football game this Saturday. I think he's got enough capability to hurt you if Oklahoma busts a coverage or if they're not keyed in on their spy, if they lose contain, because he's athletic enough to get outside the pocket and create a big run, create a big splash play through the air. And they've got good wide receivers. So while the offensive line is banged up, or not banged up, but just not playing really well, and Oklahoma's defensive front is playing as good as anybody in college football, if they're not assignment sound and playing to their keys, they can still get beat. I mean, they gave up the big, run to Justice Haynes, even in some of their non-conference games against lower level competition. They've been hit for some big plays. The cornerbacks, they've been a little bit sketchy from time to time. So everybody has to play well. This is not going to be a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination. You can't sleep on this Texas offense, even though they just got battered by Florida's defense that hadn't really been putting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Oklahoma has to show up still.
John, you made a good point there. Oklahoma has shown that they can give up some of those plays. But the best part about this defense is that it really is a bend, don't break type defense. So they'll give up a play to get you some yards, but they've done a really good job of slowing you down once they give up that one play. The adjustments that Brent Venables has proven that he can do is huge. But like I said, you made a great point there, is that that's the thing that Texas is going to have to try to exploit if they want to win this game. They're going to have to go with big plays. The question really is, though, with the way that Sarkisian's offense is ran, it takes a little time for plays to develop. Will he have the time? Will Manning have the patience? Now, we know he'll scramble, but does he have the patience to be able to let a play develop and not try to get rid of it real quick because he sees a really big dude named David Stone in the backfield as soon as he hikes the ball, and he's afraid that he's going to get taken down?
Let me ask you guys about this young man right here. This is a situation that I think is important. Blaylock, like he's a freshman. Is he the true number 1 now, or is he a guy that is like, what are they still kind of going to go by committee? Because I think it's getting to that point where it's okay. He's the guy.
He's the guy.
Okay.
To me, he's the guy. He was listed on this as the starter on their most recent depth chart release, which was like a few weeks back, maybe before the Auburn game. 57 carries on the season through 5 games. The next closest running back in carries is Jaden Ott with 20. So he's got more than 2 times the amount of carries as any other running back on the team. And he's been productive when he's gotten the ball. He's averaging 4.5 yards per carry. Is he putting up 100-yard games every week? Is he, creating these big runs every week? No, but he leads Oklahoma in runs of 10 yards or more. I mean, he's been really, really good. And I think they're going to continue to add more to his plate as he gets more comfortable in pass protection, as he, shows the ability to see the hole well, to use his vision. If he can do anything a little bit better, it's creating bigger plays. It's making guys miss in the open field. but he's looked really, really good so far. And I don't imagine they're going to go away from him at all.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat too. I feel like Tory Blaylock is your number one. Jaden Ott's going to probably start seeing more carries as it looks like he's gotten more comfortable with that shoulder and he's okay with running the ball. I mean, he gave us a few good runs in his last game, so he's like, okay, so there's a little hope there. Now it's the choice of are you going to play the rest of the season and really show out because this is your senior year? You're done after this, or are you going to go ahead and redshirt? Portal out, play somewhere else next year. So we'll probably find that out here coming against Texas. If you don't see Ott, I don't expect to see him for the rest of the year. But Tory Blaylock, to me, he's that dude right now. And him being a true freshman is the only thing that sucks is that it's going to take some time for him to really get going. But as long as this offensive line continues to improve week over week, which they've starting to show some moments of that, they looked better. They looked good against Michigan. And especially as the game got deeper, like as it got into the fourth quarter, you started to see that strength and conditioning work for Oklahoma. They were pushing people around. Same thing against Auburn on that final drive. You saw them pushing Auburn around to get, that final score. And so I'm hoping that that's going to be the case going forward. I hope that we start to see it earlier too, but Tory Blaylock's that dude right now. And it's nobody else that's going to be able to take that spot.
I think he's going to be a really good player. The point that John mentioned a second ago is also very important. For a lot of people that wonder, well, why isn't the stud freshman in the lineup? It's pretty simple. It's pass pro. Almost all freshmen are terrible at it because they didn't really have to do it in high school because they could just use their athleticism to beat the crap out of the blitzing linebacker. It doesn't work that way when the guy has to hook him helmet on. That guy's really good, especially if it's Colin Simmons. I do not want Blaylock blocking Colin Simmons at all.
Please no. Yeah.
I don't think I want half our team to block.
Yeah. Thankfully, we're not running into a lot of situations where we're having elite defensive ends being blocked by tight ends this year. We're letting our offensive tackles do that. So it's already a much more well thought out offense.
That's a good thing. When we come back, I do want to touch on John Mateer, just in case he plays, what's the impact is, get into some recruiting and some portal. That is next here on this crossover, Locked on the Portal and Locked on Sooners. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. And with the all-new all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. We are also brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments, or anything else. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal financial tool that brings your entire financial life together in one easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is there for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting. You can work with all your accounts in one place and link them together so you can see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. In a nutshell, Monarch Money is going to put everything right there in front of you so you don't make any mistakes and leave money out there for somebody else to make instead of you. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. All right, it is time to talk about something very important. I want to get their take here. Whichever one of you wants to go first, I'm just going to let you all ride this. I'm thinking that John Mateer is not going to play. That's my guess. His hand injuries are funky. But if he does, they'll figure it out. That's a touchy situation. Whichever one of you wants to go with it, why would you play him if he's not 100%? Or why would you, whichever way you want to go, whoever wants to jump in, because if he gets hurt again against Texas, the coaching staff's going to take a lot of heat. So,
100%. 100%. They'll take a lot of heat if he does. But I'm going to go ahead and say this. This is why you come to Oklahoma, is to play in this game.
Yeah.
This is 100% the reason. And, shout out to our tortilla presser out there at Chipotle for the uninitiated. There was a post in a Texas A&M message board that someone went to Chipotle in Norman. They had John Mateer in line behind them, and the tortilla presser asked John Mateer if he, how his hand was. And he says, "It's great. I'm playing against Texas." And so we all laugh because it's a message board thing. It's hilarious, whatever. Well, the plot thickened. Right after, underneath that post, someone posted a picture, a selfie with this tortilla presser and John Mateer together, saying that was my nephew or my son had actually talked to John at that Chipotle. And I can confirm that this interaction did happen. So we thought the conspiracy out there was that someone just made this story up. No. It happened. So to me, John's going to probably play. And you're right. The question's going to be if he re-injures himself. Regardless if it's this game or if it's in 2 games. If he gets re-injured, that's going to be a terrible thing. But at the same time, John wants to play in this game. This is the game. This is one of the reasons why he came to Oklahoma. He's from Texas, Little Elm. Nobody looked at him there. He wants to go out there and, show it on the biggest stage in one of the biggest rivalries in the country. So my expectation, John's going to show up. He'll show up questionable all week long on the availability report. And then come Saturday morning, he will be a game time decision. He will be trotted out there with Michael Hawkins.
There's something that Ben Arbuckle says about John Mateer every time he talks about him. He says he's not just a quarterback, he's a football player. And football players want to play football. And so if he's close to being 100%, he's going to want to play football. And it's going to be really hard, I think, to keep him off the field. They'll have to just legitimately be like, no, you are not playing. Because, yeah, they got big fish to fry all season long, and they've got big aspirations. And you're going to want your quarterback available, not just for Texas, but for the rest of the season. Brent Venables has taken a big picture approach on this, and that's why they went ahead and did the surgery, back during the bye week to just go ahead and get ahead of it, because they wanted to try and make sure that he was back at some point for this season, whether that's this week against Texas or it's the following week against South Carolina or Ole Miss, or, keep pushing the ball down the road if you want to. They're going to make the wise decision, and that could still mean that he's available this week.
Well, here's my take on it. If he can really go, you let him play. I think he's a very good football player. I think just using the term football player is probably best.
Yep.
I don't think he's the greatest quote unquote pocket quarterback.
Nope.
He's not, he's a guy that does well on the run, which with Colin Simmons lined up over there is probably a good thing. But at the same time, he makes plays that other guys don't, because he's probably one of the more underrated runners. So I still don't think enough people went back and watched his Washington State film, or even a little bit what he did against Michigan. Michigan's got a legit defense. He made enough plays that they could win. Are they going to be able to run him 18, 19 times like they did against the Wolverines? Maybe not, but he could still get out of trouble and throw it away and avoid sacks, etc. That's why, for the record, by the way, I'm picking OU 24-17. But I don't have any faith in Texas's offense. And I think Hawkins or Mateer will make enough plays with their legs that they're going to get a couple of special plays that have nothing to do with play calling. And I think Arbuckle is really good. But the athleticism will get them in a few extra spots where they can score. And I think that's why I brought up Blaylock. I think he'll end up having a pretty good game, too. This is going to be his coming out party. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I see it. I doubt either one of you will disagree with that sentiment. And I know you like it.
As you made that statement, Florida, when you look at the statistics, they were 13th in the SEC in rushing. Like, they were not being able to get any runs whatsoever going. Number 12 is Oklahoma. So not saying that just because it happened for Florida against Texas, that it happened for Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's pass protection is probably one of the better ones in the conference. They have a really good pass protection. They've shown it. They've proven it. And if they can just figure it out on this run portion and push that Texas interior around enough, they'll find some holes and be able to get some runs. Like you said, Torrey Blaylock may come out in this game. He may get a couple breaks up, at least get some 5 or 6 yards run on a consistent basis. And that's problem enough for Texas. And that's, to me, what I'm kind of thinking may happen in this game. And your point about John Mateer, a lot of people did not watch John Mateer play at Washington State, because if you notice one thing about him, he had a tendency of not getting hit. He did a really good job avoiding getting big hits. Like he would shake some folks and fall in the proper way to where he wasn't getting leveled. Now, he has an occasional where he wants to run somebody over, which I hope he doesn't try to do that in this game, especially with that hand. But if he falls properly on each time he tries to run, he may actually do a really good job of not getting hurt.
One more question on the game for you guys. Outside of the quarterback situation, that's low-hanging fruit. What's your biggest concern if you take the quarterback equation out of it? Is it anything defensively, offense, special teams? What's your biggest concern about against the Horns?
Yeah, for me, it's covering Ryan Wingo. It's not letting him create big plays down the field.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that too. Because Parker Livingston, he has a knee situation. I know he
that
played,
did look good.
but
He's not the same right now.
He's not the same. And you can tell that he's not the same guy. So if you can make sure that Ryan Wingo doesn't just dust you like Cam Coleman did, even though Cam Coleman he had 3 catches for 83 yards, but it was all in the first half. I mean, they was using him basically as a pass interference dummy the rest of the game, which smart, very smart strategy. But you get Eli Bowen back, who we know is going to be able to chase around Ryan Wingo and have maybe somebody over the top, maybe his brother Peyton. So you may have the Bowen brothers kind of bracketing him or whatnot. And I think Cortland Guillory would be just fine against whoever the other receiver is that they're going to have to trot out there as the next main guy. Because I don't even think Mosley's going to probably be able to play or at least be a true contributor because he's been dealing with injury. So this injury-ridden Texas team, I mean, I don't feel bad for them because Oklahoma played them twice with injury-ridden teams. So, hey, you better, pull up your bootstraps, buckle up, buttercup, and get out there and play some ball.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's unfortunate when really good players get hurt regardless, especially for rivalry games. But
I hate
Oklahoma last year, probably after that, I doubt any Oklahoma fans are going to, especially Texas, they're not going to care. And
I just don't think the Texas offense is good enough to consistently drive it against Oklahoma's defense. So as long as Oklahoma doesn't give up the big pass play for a touchdown or the big, surprise run for a touchdown, I think they'll be able to keep Texas's offense in check for the most part. But it's that big pass play, man. That's the thing that I think is the Achilles heel right now for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I tend to agree. If can't have like a pick six, a scoop and score, nothing like that. As long as the game's straightforward, I think Oklahoma is the better team. When we come back, I do want to finish up with some questions regarding the portal and recruiting. Oklahoma has a chance, especially if they beat the Texas Longhorns this weekend. I think they could be in pretty good shape. That is next here on this crossover of Locked on the Portal and Locked on Sooners. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of football this season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. With PrizePicks, it's a lot of fun because it's a simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a score, and you're in the game. So if you want to do PrizePicks with, the tight end for your favorite team because you think everybody's overlooking him, go over on his yards. Go over on Saquon Barkley, maybe with rushing touchdowns or whatever else you want. Again, it's just over under. It's really easy. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after you use your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It is good to be right. All right, we have to discuss a little portal and a little recruiting. This is the Portal Podcast, after all. You guys hit with the portal this year, Mateer, obviously. Just out of curiosity, take John out of the equation. Who is the second best portal addition for OU right now to this point in the season?
Tate Sandell, the kicker. I mean, he's been really good, but I think Kendall Daniels, the Cheetah linebacker, has been really, really good. He's had some up and down moments here in recent weeks, but overall, I think he's performed really, really well. You could look at any of the offensive linemen. I think there's a good, strong second tier of guys. Oh no, what am I even talking about? Isaiah Satania. It's easily Isaiah Satania. What am I talking about, Jay? Why didn't you interrupt me? Come on,
because I was hoping you was gonna pick one person instead of going through everybody.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself. It's Isaiah Satania. The dude's leading the team in receiving yards. He's been electric on punt returns. Isaiah Satania. Go, Jay, your turn.
Yeah, I was going to actually echo that. Isaiah Satania or Tate Sandell. I mean, Sandell walked out there, kicked those 3 field goals, and you feel good about that, specifically because, one, Oklahoma's had some struggles in the kicking game over the last couple of years, especially since the last part of the Riley regime into the Brent Venables era. You've had some struggles there, but you're in the SEC now, and this is a conference where field goals are going to matter. Those kicks are going to be critical for wins and losses, especially as things get tighter. You're going to be playing a bunch of ranked teams going forward. And so Tate Sandell to me is one of the bigger pickups, but it has to be Isaiah Satania. Outside of John Mateer, that dude walked out there and kind of took the wide receiver 1 spot. And I think the best part about him is coming back from injury. He was dealing with a little something in camp. He is basically leveraging the attention that Deion Burks is getting, and now Jaren Kanak is getting as well as he switched positions. He's leveraging their attention, and he's getting open. He's making big plays. That's probably the biggest pickup we have besides him, and then of course Jake Michael at defensive at the center position.
Okay, so you guys, I would say that Mateer is as impactful a transfer as there is in the country this year.
Mm-hmm.
After this season, give me the 2 positions that are not just important, but like we got to fill them. We have to hit if we're going to be good again in 2026.
Oh, man.
I'm going to go right tackle.
Okay.
I don't know where they go. Like left tackle is Michael Fasusi. You feel good about the future there. Your guard situation, I think you feel pretty solid about. Right tackle, I think you can still look to improve on that spot, unless you just feel like one of these true freshmen that's coming in is going to be able to have a Michael Fasusi like impact. But I don't think you can bank on that. I think you've got to go into the portal and make sure you find a not just a serviceable right tackle or a solid right tackle, but a legit SEC offensive tackle.
Yeah, I'd say probably a guard would be mine, because if things work out the way that you hope they will, you'll either see Isaiah Dent or Michael Fogier possibly at that right tackle spot with Fasusi at the left. That's potential. But John is right. That's those two, to me, right guard and right tackle are the 2 spots I have the biggest questions on. Eddie Pierre-Louis should be playing more left guard going into next season once he really, because his biggest thing is he needs to clean up some stuff. More so, he's got a mean streak on the run blocking, but on the pass blocking, he has a tendency of kind of teetering and missing some of his assignments. And so once he gets better at that, I think he'll be good. But I think that right side, just the entire right side, right guard, right tackle, once we figure out who's what, that to me is probably going to be the most critical spot. Actually, let me add one more, center too. Because Michael will be back next year so far, but that's a potential spot because Troy Everett will be gone because he's a senior. So they're unfortunate he won't be back and his red shirt's gone unless he gets a medical, but I doubt he does. You're going to have to be center to right. So the entire right side of the field is on the offensive line is going to be something that we're going to be monitoring like crazy. So you may bring in a portal guy just to add depth on possibly both, but we'll see if Beatonbow likes his guys more or not.
I think an under the radar potential addition that they could look at is either defensive tackle or defensive end. You're going to lose, R. Mason Thomas and Marvin Jones Jr. after this year. You're going to lose Grayson Halton and Dominic Williams after this year.
Yeah, it's true.
And so like you love your depth and you love the talent you've got with obviously David Stone and Jaden Jackson and Taylor Wine and PJ Adebaware. You love all of those guys, but do you love the guys behind them enough or love the rotation enough to not go into the portal? So if they found a big time defensive tackle that they wanted to say, hey, come play with us for a couple of years in this rotation with Jaden Jackson and David Stone, and you're going to be able to produce. Yeah, we're going to play 4 guys, but you're going to be able to produce because we've got some dudes on defensive line. So I think those could be some under the radar places that they look to add maybe another veteran, some guy with experience to add to that rotation. Because I mean, you're great with Jaden Jackson and David Stone as it is, but what do you got coming up behind that? Do you feel comfortable enough with that rotation as it is?
I got to ask this, and I know this will make Jay very, very concerned. Mateer's going to be gone after this year. Do you feel good enough about Hawkins? I'm just saying, like, if he does, I don't know. I don't know if does he have another year technically?
Yeah, he's got one more
year. He's only redshirt junior.
It's hard to say what guys going to the draft because quarterbacks are so overdrafted. Oftentimes they leave because even if they shouldn't, they'll go late first round, early second. It's ridiculous, but it's a guaranteed payday. I get it. If he leaves, do they have to hit the portal?
That's a good question. And the answer to that's going to be really the development of Michael Hawkins along with Jet New behind him and with Newbar behind him. And then you're bringing in Bo Bentley, So you're bringing in a top 100 recruit that kind of reminds you of John Mateer in his game, in the way he plays. Yes. So you might get lucky there to where the players around will develop well enough to where you don't have to play him, or he walks in and takes the job. I'm not sure, but that is a very good question. The other thing too is, as John mentioned, there is a chance that Mateer could decide to come back for one more year. The defense will probably be at its peak because the secondary should be at its strongest next season. You'll have Bowen coming back most likely. You'll have both Bowens. You'll have a free safety who's going to most likely be either Michael Boganowski or Reggie Powers starting at the free, and then you'll have Cortland Guillory who's been developing like crazy at the other corner. So and then linebackers, Kip and Kobe can come back one more year. Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of opportunity where you may have the most stacked defense with development possible that could lead you to a second chance at pushing for a playoff berth or even for a title. So Mateer could look at that and say, I kind of want to come back and play in all of that because Giovanni Gibson will be back at receiver. You've got so many pieces that could help with that. So, but the question is going to be, what does Michael Hawkins look like after this season? And then, of course, what does Bo Bentley do when he come in?
Yeah, I think if Mateer doesn't come back, I almost feel like they've got to go find some competition for Michael Hawkins Jr. Just from what we've seen so far. It's not to say that he couldn't go take the job, but you might want to find a veteran quarterback that fits the system, that has some upside to him, that can either push Michael Hawkins Jr. or at least is a serviceable option for you as you continue to develop those guys.
I think that's fair. Here's the wild card for every team in this boat. This isn't just an Oklahoma problem. Barring something changing, but with the court system, anything's possible. There's no spring window.
Right.
So you don't get to see Michael in spring. So as the saying goes, you have to plan for the worst and pray for the best.
Yep.
And that means you got to go out and spend. Here's the problem. Everybody's in the same boat. Can you imagine what the quarterback market is going to be like for anybody that thinks they can make a playoff run? They're going to be quarterbacks make $2 million that have no chance of freaking starting.
Yeah.
So what does a top 4 quarterback make? Because Miami's going to be in the market again. Like, you know, they got about the deepest pockets outside of Oregon in the sport, et cetera. Like, it screws it up because Oregon and Miami set the table, and then it screws it for everybody else.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, like with Miami, like you said, they're definitely going to be in the market because it doesn't seem like they actually recruit quarterbacks or something like that. It seems like they like to just go for a veteran and plug them in and say, go run things and make it happen. And that can be a successful setup. I guess the big question for me is going to be, what does Ben Arbuckle feel like he needs in order to be successful going forward? Truth be told, the way that these games are going for some of these coaches, Arbuckle's name's going to keep popping up in head coaching jobs. And if a really good one populates, he could end up taking it. If it's a really good one, like I think he'll take the Brent Venables approach up. I'm not going to take just any job to be a head coach. I'm only 29. I'm going to be smart. They're paying me a lot of money here to do one side of the ball and get really good at refining it. Let me wait and see if there's a job that I have an actual chance at being successful at before I take it. So I don't see him taking anything, but there are going to be potentially some bigger jobs that could open because success hasn't been hitting the way it should have been.
Yeah, don't take the Arkansas State job.
No.
Resist.
Don't take Oklahoma State. Don't take.
Yeah, don't go somewhere you can't recruit. You got to go somewhere where recruiting is natural. That's
exactly. Yeah, because he's going to have success eventually down the road. There's no hurry. He's so young. He's got plenty of time to go be a head coach somewhere. And I do think it's going to be a really fascinating quarterback market this offseason because there are going to be a number of really intriguing names available, like Austin Simmons. Could Nico Iamaleava get back into the portal? What about that Western Carolina quarterback who just seems to light up the record books all of a sudden, Taron Dickens? Like, there's going to be a lot of intriguing names that people are going to definitely throw some money around at. And so I think Oklahoma could very well be in the market, or they could just say, hey, look, we like the development that Michael Hawkins has achieved at this point. And they just put all their eggs in that basket. I don't know. We'll see, man.
Last question. You guys are sitting around 19 commitments, I believe. Only 2 offensive linemen. There's a kid at Omaha North I think they're involved with. There's probably, or not Omaha, but Norman North. They need to get at least 3 linemen in every class like everybody. So I know they need that. But where else do they need to hit before this class concludes in early December?
To me, they need to go ahead and pull the trigger on another running back. unless they decide to go to the portal and get a back. Like if we're talking about who will be a good portal addition, honestly, running back is probably one that we're not talking about enough. I mean, Ott is a senior. You'll have a true freshman, Torrey Blaylock, but you're going to need some additional bodies to go with it, with Xavier Robinson as well as Taylor Tatum dealing with injuries. You're going to have to make sure you have additional bodies out there just in case. Javante Barnes will be gone as well because he is a senior. So to me, for Oklahoma, they're probably going to need to go grab another running back. Zephyr Walker is a good pickup. I like his game, but you're going to need to add another back to go along with what you're doing. Like this is the class you're probably going to need two. And just like you mentioned, you're going to need probably one more, if not two, offensive linemen. Now with that makes me think that they're probably going to shop in the portal more, because it feels like if they don't feel it as they feel the recruits that they really want, and then they kind of piece in the transfers they need, which has probably been the best way to approach the portal, which I appreciate that the staff has done. Because if you really look at it, the only spot where we have a lot of transfers playing right now is at center. Offensive line and wide receiver. That's really where you got the most. You've got one like additional player on the defensive line. Well, two. You've got one linebacker that you've added in there. And now all your corners and secondaries, all your guys, they've done a good job of just piecemealing where they need it. So you got your quarterback, you got a few offensive linemen, it feels like offense is a little bit easier, but I think that's probably the approach they're going to take.
Yeah, they're using the portal to address the needs. They're using their recruiting classes to really build the foundation of this program. And a running back to keep an eye on is Caden Jones, the Oklahoma legacy. That'd be one that I would really like them to circle back on. I know that I'm not sure exactly what the relationship is like there right now, but that was somebody that they were communicating with at one point in time, and he committed to Oklahoma State, decommitted from the Cowboys after Mike Gundy got fired. I think his big playability would be something to reconsider for Oklahoma.
That's fair. If Oklahoma wins this game, I guarantee you they'll get a recruiting bump. As somebody that follows recruiting religiously, that's something I'm steadfast with. Gentlemen, I appreciate you joining in. It's always fun talking Sooner football. Good luck in the Red River Rivalry. And, hopefully Mateer gets to play, but if he doesn't, again, I still got the Sooners winning 24-17. But John, tell everybody where they can find your work. Same with you, Jay.
Yeah, so you can subscribe to Locked On Sooners wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all platforms and on YouTube. So hit the subscribe button, the notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. And follow Jay at Unfair Sports, me at John 9 Williams, and our show is at Locked On Sooners.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. You can find my show wherever you get your podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and everywhere else. Thank you very much. Everybody have a good one.
Boomer Sooner.
Texas sucks.